Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome in. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm Martin Wenzel, streaming from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the United States. It's 7:03 in the morning. I didn't reset my time in Sim. Well, let's see when this flight. 9:20. What do we got for real time here? Actually, real time's just fine. All right, this is a morning flight in real life as well. World Tour flight 212. We're in the Cessna 208. We're flying from Dominica. We're at Marigot, Dominica, at Douglas Charles Airport, flying up to Terrance B. Lettsome International Airport on Beef Island in the British Virgin Islands. Icebird is 2:03 in the afternoon in Austria. That's why I have so many guys. That's why I have so many people watching from Central, Eastern Europe when I do these early day streams. All right, well, we're here at the airport. Really nice looking airport. We got a big, huge American Eagle. What kind of plane is that? I've never seen an American Eagle like. Other planes here. Now I wonder if those are live, or those are other players. I've never seen an American Eagle livery. Wait, well, I guess it would be American Eagle if it was, yeah, the regional stuff. Yeah, I suppose we've done any American Eagle. Yeah, maybe not. Just kind of pops out. Yeah, how are we gonna get out of here though with that big plane in the way? Well. We'll figure that out later. Alright, so we're in the Cessna 208. We're flying call sign ISLANDWAYS. It's InterCaribbean Airways. I think, what is this flight really flown in? Oh, this would be flown in an EMB 120 Embraer. But I don't have that plane, so... Or I'm not gonna purchase that plane, I just don't have the money for it. Alright, so let's get this plane set up. We can go external power. That on. Battery on. Standby alternate power. Turn the music down a little bit. Wait on the fuel boost. We're going to turn on the avionics. I can hear what's going on in the plane. I'm going to switch this to GPS right away so I don't forget. We'll turn on nav lights and turn on the no smoking light. Really cool. I think I got an improvement mod and a lot of switches actually are functional now. Not that I really know how to use them, but they are available. Yeah, decent sleep. We went to the EAA museum yesterday out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which during the Air Venture every year is the busiest airport in the world with all the fly-ins. So that was pretty cool. It's amazing how much has kind of come out of there because of that. You know, all the experimental planes and stuff that they have there. Alright, we need to make sure we do this fuel select. I always forget to do this fuel select up top. On. There we go. That other thing right there. Oxygen. I should probably turn that on too. Alright. So let's get into the flight computer. The Garmin here. We'll just leave this one on. Go flight plan. Scroll down there. And we put in our takeoff airport, which is Tango, Delta, Papa, Delta. There it is. Antigua. Am I right, is it? Did it say Antigua? The right airport? Are we actually on Dominica? Yeah. Antigua. That's really weird. I don't know what's going on there. I think Rousseau's right. Antigua, that's not right. Okay. What do I want? Alright, well, we'll hit enter anyway. Runway, let's get our flight clearance.
Douglas Charles Tower, ISLANDWAYS 522, parking 5. Request clearance to Terrance, Lettsome with information, India.
Yeah, but very tired. Knees hurt. My barefoot shoes are kind of wearing out, I think. My barefoot boots.
Cleared to Terrance, Lettsome, runway 27. Fly runway heading. Climb and maintain 4000. Squawk 4047. ISLANDWAYS 522.
Alright.
ISLANDWAYS 522. Read back correct.
I don't know why that keeps cutting out.
Will report when ready. ISLANDWAYS 522.
Okay. So we're going to fly runway heading out of runway 27, maintain 4,000 feet. Put that in right away. Or put that. $4,000 feet. Runway heading is 65, and we're gonna have to figure out how to get around that American Eagle. Put it in 265. Heading. Okay. Alright, en route, we're gonna do our waypoints. So bring up plan. We're going direct to the VOR right here in Dominica. So Delta Oscar Mike. Douglas Charles. I don't know why I keep saying Antigua. We're on Dominica. And we do have duplicates. Again, that's very confusing. We're going direct to PPR, which is a Point of Prince, Point of Pitre, or whatever on Guadalupe. That one on. Papa Romeo. Then we're going to Bimbo. That's this one right here, Guadalupe, Martinique. Canary Island is probably the Canaries, right? I guess that's not the right place. Can I? How do I do that? When I press my keyboard stuff, like what key do I have to use to lock it or something? Because when I press like, see, I just did something I didn't want to do. Press the little symbol right of the input field. Oh, this one right here? Let's see. Oh, look at that. Okay. That makes it faster. Do that. Enter St. Kitts. Thank you. Yeah, I knew I saw it on the tutorial, but they didn't really go into how to do that. Let's see. No, I'm a little off. So Papa Juliet Mike. Enter Aruba. And then Juice. Brazil. Puerto Rico, that makes sense. Enter. Or I believe we got LARP. Enter. Okay, and then we put our destination, which is going to be Tango Uniform Papa Juliet. There's Lettsome, perfect. I think we're going to be doing runway 25. That in there. Sure. And we got our route. Looks good. So, put that away like that. Go into our weights and balances because got that stuff up. Hey, Abigail. Good for the brain. It's like a muscle. I want to kind of do some more, you know, flying these smaller ones. Do we have a Piper? I have to look because I'm really interested. I really want to go to like flight school, but again, I think the money is going to be an issue at least right now. I think it's going to be at least a year or two to have to kind of figure out how to do it, but I don't know. After going to especially after going there to the EAA museum yesterday, I was just like, what am I doing? You know. I think when I was looking into it a few years ago, I wanted to get off the road truck driving. I wanted to get off the road back home so I could be with my wife and newborn. And I was looking, it's like, oh, well, pilots have to work. You know, they're away from home. But I'm thinking, it's like, yeah, but they're not away from home as much as I was when I was driving over the road. And they're paid a little bit better for being away, you know, so, and you're flying. It's a little bit different. All right, so let's get our fuel in here. 527 feet, but I want to start flying some more, at least maybe on my own time a little bit, but sometimes streaming some of these smaller planes. Maybe get like the Piper Arrow, I think is what they train in over at ATP. You know, get familiar with that. Block fuel, we need 527. We got 532. Let's see. Payload is going to be 831. We got 7 passengers. I think 831 includes the cargo. So we'll get our passengers on. 7 passengers, so you guys are going to be a big guy right there. We'll do smaller. Throw a kid on. Well, large kid. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 passengers, and we'll do the cargo. Throw about 25 there. 50 there. There. Thrilling part where we put the cargo on the plane. Try to get the balances all right. There you go, look at that. We got the perfect payload. Total takeoff weight. Somehow I don't know why this is different. How that ends up being 3,600. Here it's 3,400. I don't know what the math is, or the math is there, but whatever. Close enough. I'll put that away. We got our payload on. That's all we need to do there. Let's get the plane ready to go. So we're gonna go fuel boost, ignition on, and we're gonna start the motor. Not like there's a ton of immersion braking things in this sim, right? Oh, you know what I should do? Put this in. We got our propeller to max, fuel condition. Put into a high idle. I can go to normal for fuel boost. Go off for fuel boost. Starter, I think starter can come off, right? Yep. Then ignition normal. All right. Turn on the avionics. We'll turn on our taxi recognition beacon, strobe. It's right there. I think we're pretty much good to go. So let's get our clearance. I should get on request startup.
Douglas Charles Tower, ISLANDWAYS 522. Request startup.
ISLANDWAYS 522. Startup approved.
Startup approved. ISLANDWAYS 522.
What did I... Oh. Okay. Not sure how you do this when you have a big giant plane. I guess we're just going to have to go on the runway. Double back. I guess the American Eagle taking up the whole area.
Douglas Charles
522. Taxi to holding point. Runway 27. Via 09er. Hold short of runway 09er. 27.
Taxi to holding point. Runway 27 via 09er. Hold short of runway 09er. 27. ISLANDWAYS 522.
Autopilot's on, that's why. Like, why are the yokes turning on their own? I didn't know you could even have autopilot on the ground. Alright, so release the parking brake. And there's not really a way for me to clear out this ground crew. Oh. Still having this issue where tiles are loading in and out. These ground textures at airports. No idea what that is. No idea how to change setting. Can't find any information on the internet. So if anyone knows, if you've seen anything about this, let me know. Should my rudder pedals be a lot less sensitive? I'm barely moving them at all, and it just swings the plane so much. I don't know, maybe I need to turn the sensitivity way further down. I don't know exactly how to do that. That's another thing I'm going to have to look up today. I'm going to have to look up, like, how do you set your rudder sensitivity for these smaller planes, because it just feels like they're way too sensitive.
Douglas Charles Tower, ISLANDWAYS 522. Runway vacated with
I know there's a sensitivity option. I just don't know how to, like, where to set it, because like, it seems like even now it's like I barely, as soon as I get out of my dead zone, I have it set to have a dead zone, and as soon as I get out of dead zone, it just swings. Not sensitivity. Alright, well, let me get to the end of the runway here, and we'll well, let's go right here, then I can test it out. British Virgin Islands border the American Virgin Islands, which were originally a Danish Virgin. I didn't realize they were. Which one? Were the American Virgin Islands the Danish? Control option. Oops, wrong. Control options. Where do we go? Okay, so here's my throttle. This is gonna have the, and my pedals are connected to that. Rudder. Oh, interesting. I don't know why. I don't know why a flight simulator, or why my graphics card, it just goes into super graphics mode when I'm on the menu, and so then my fans all have to spool up because it just gets really hot. It's like, why are you, why is there so much work to do just for this menu? Like, the hardest my GPU works is when I'm on these menus. So where do I go, Icebird, for this sensitivity here? There's like what I have for sensitivity. It's this one, right? I have this dead zone, but oh, I changed it. I got rid of. Oh, what? Oh, extremity dead zone. Oh, so this is going to kind of limit how much the rudders actually do things, right? Like when I do stuff, see, it's going to be a lot less. How that works. There we go. Yeah, because now I can actually put some input in, and it won't just like spin left and right. Oh, thank you. I wasn't trying to figure out, like, how do I make it that it doesn't do as much? Now, in the bigger planes, obviously, I want it to be able to do a lot more because you only have so much rudder. Yes, Kurt. Well, like I said, I'm going to look up and see like what kind of settings people use for these smaller planes, and Just any plane in general. I'm not very good at controller calibration. Hey BD, how you doing? Alright, we're ready for departure. Let's one last check.
Douglas Charles Tower,
Landing
Islandways
lights.
522, runway 27, ready for departure.
Islandways 522, line up, runway 27.
Line up, runway 27, Islandways 522.
Already lined up.
Islandways 522, wind 90 degrees at 6 knots, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 27, cleared for takeoff, Islandways 522.
Alright, cleared for takeoff. Yeah, see, I can actually put in, I have to actually put in some rudder input to stay straight, but I can actually stay straight as opposed to having to fight it back and forth because I put a little bit in the rudder and then it dumps me the other direction. Valley there, hopefully.
Islandways 522, contact.
Interesting way to have us take off because you kind of go right into these
Contact raise at
the
approach
hills,
119.05.
which could get bad really quick.
522.
Go over this way.
Raise at approach, Islandways 522 at 600, climbing 4,000.
Islandways 522, radar contact, continue climb 8,000, QNH 1017.
Continue climb 8,000, Islandways 522.
Alright, this is actually giving me a little bit of a longer flight. Coming down pretty quick, but the scheduled time on SimBrief was saying 2 hours, 10 minutes. I was like, whoa, I didn't. But I think, again, this is in real life flown with an EMB 210 or whatever, 120, which I don't have.
Raising approach.
I had to go with the next best thing
Tyler 1 Foxtrot, departure
that I could
at
find
2,800.
that works.
Air France 616, radar contact, continue climb, flight level 120.
Continue climb, flight level 120. Air
Alright, we'll
France
continue our climb to
616.
8,000 feet. They're going to give us 8,000 here. That will clear us over all the different airspaces. Probably make a turn here. Follow our course.
Islandways 522, climb and maintain, flight level 80.
Climb and maintain, flight level 80, Islandways 522.
Working my way back over towards the our route. You don't have to be exactly on it. Get a little climb going here. Oh, where's my plane? There it is. Kind of drifting to the right. Alright, so right there we have Marigot Island again. Tango Foxtrot Foxtrot Mike Granborg Marigot Airport right there. Okay. Then on our left right over there we have Terre de Haute Lettsome. Tango Foxtrot Foxtrot Sierra little airport there. We're gonna kind of skirt right off the side of this. Now I'm looking at, I usually don't use VOR charts, so I'm kind of learning this. I didn't look this up, but I'm assuming these are, pull it up, and anyone who has more experience can let me know. But I'm assuming these are like the airspace restrictions. You know, so here you have E space. I don't know what they're called exactly, but you got your E, your D, C, and I'm assuming those are the altitudes also. So if you want to remain in the E space, you have to be between 3,000 and 10,500 feet. Here you got to be between the ground and 2,500 is your D. Everything's kind of layers, what your restrictions and what you're cleared for. Airspace, I guess, is this. Like when you're around major airports will have. Here it's an R2. I don't know why they didn't just go like to C space or something, but I'm surprised the airport doesn't. Well, I guess it's all 2,500 feet. Yeah. When I'm flying VOR, flying VFR, flying more low level, 2500 seems like, well, that's a big, you know, a lot of altitude there, but got this A airspace. Oh, okay. Again, it's just like what you're cleared in, like your airspace. What are you cleared in? I know the default ATC for Flight Simulator does do some of that. You know, you're cleared in the C airspace or whatever. But my FSATC HUD doesn't do that, and I've never heard any airspace clearance like that. And now, if we were on VATSIM, they might be giving us that, and you can see it on the chart here, or on the what you would call it here, the GPS right in front of us on our screen. Well. That's something I'm going to have to start looking into more. Get more familiar with that. Because it'll be fun. You know, since I have this week off right now, it's like I'm feeling like I can do a little bit more flying outside of my streams as well. I can just go, you know, I'm going to jump in and kind of learn some new things. And maybe I'll look at the tutorials again. I haven't done the tutorials on Flight Simulator so much. Especially with the smaller planes. And then the bigger planes I didn't really do too much because those are the planes I've been flying for so long in the simulators. But it's always nice to know what the heck I'm talking about and do things the proper way versus just flying it like a game, which a lot of times I do fly Flight Simulator here like it's just a game, and I don't fly it kind of the real way. And whenever I can learn more how to do things the real way, it's always like, okay, this feel a little bit more immersion. It's a little bit cool. All right, making a slow climb up to 8,000. Give it a little bit more of an oomph here. Every once in a while I get a swig of water that kind of tastes a little off. Alright, coming up on 8,000 feet there. That was that little warning. 1,000 feet to go. Guadalupe, again shaped like a butterfly. Point to Pitre right in the middle. Little peninsula between the two major sections of the island. Yeah, so I got home last night, and baby Elisha was cranky on the ride home, and I think it's because he we changed him at the museum, and then we walked around some more, and then when we left, we should have checked again right before we left, and he must have taken another poop. It was just running through him yesterday. Of course, we're out of the house, and then it's just running through him because we get in the car, we're driving down, and he's just complaining the whole way. I mean, he's tired. It's been a long day. We got there about 11 in the morning and didn't leave until 5. So we were there 6 hours, so it was a long day. A Looking at all the planes, all the stuff they have there. Set the autopilot since I'm. Yeah, so we got home, changed him, and then I swear it was probably 10-15 minutes later, he's out, he's grunting and groaning again and dropping another nice little bomb for us. But finally got to bed. As I'm laying in bed, I'm kind of looking at ATP again, which is, I forget what it stands for, but it's training, airline training pilot or pilot training or something. What is it called? What does ATP stand for? Let's see. Well, it's ATP Flight School. That's what I'm looking at. Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida. We do have one. They do have a. They opened one in recent years over by Waukesha, which is just a few miles away from here, where I live. So that's nice. Obviously, I'm going to need to look into it a lot more before I drop any money and, you know, sign up for it. But, yeah, I was looking at the cost. It's just like, it's ridiculous how much it costs for this kind of training. But for me, it's like, if I want to train to fly, it's like I want to go all the way up to where I can make money flying as opposed to have to pay to fly. I mean, it's close to $100,000 now. Like, but they do have a lot of partnerships with some of the airlines that will reimburse you for tuition and stuff once you are on board with them in a couple of years. But I mean, that's a hard, you know, couple of years where you're still on the hook for paying your loan payments and you're not making much. But people are doing it, so possible. I don't know where I got my schedule here where I have my flight times. I must have gone from the flight time for the I think I just went from it from Flight Aware, and that was going the flight time obviously from the Embraer EMB 120, and I didn't throw the Cessna 208 into SimBrief to see because, yeah, 210 for the scheduled flight time. We're down to an hour 23, so it's not going to take as long, but and maybe we'll try out. I can't remember how to do time acceleration. Like just in Flight Simulator. I think it's like, I don't know. I think you have to hit Alt R and then something, or I don't know. We'll just take our time, have a nice little see the scenery. Right now flying over TDPD. Saying it, butchering the name in French. Pointe-à-Pitre right here where the airport is. Right over here is Bay Marigot. Quite a few, I guess it's not, I thought this was all, this whole, like just a big Pointe-à-Pitre, but I guess they're all just little. There is no overall major city. Here on Guadalupe. I've flown into this airport already. Now we're gonna fly over it again. Done that a number of times as well. This is why you want to look into things like I just put in ATP pilot training and just kind of look in. People are asking, it's like, hey, is it a good choice? And here, this one person saying, it's like, well, just some reasons why ATP is horrible off the top of my head. Literally every instructor is a kid in their early 20s who learned to fly in 6 months and just wants to get to 1,500 hours. Yeah, that makes sense because like the whole ATP model is like basically 7 months. They're going to get you to an airline or into the regionals, and or at least 7 months, and then you're doing the you're doing the instructing and building up your hours, and eventually get to regionals within hopefully a year or two. Yeah, so most of the instructors are basically people who just went through the course and now they're instructing, and all right. You're essentially paying double the cost for half the quality of training. Yeah. It's almost too structured. You can't pause your pace of training to work on something you're struggling with. You just move on to the next lesson. Shady marketing. There is no guaranteed certified flight instructor job no matter what they tell you, and you won't be done in 6 months, more like 8.5, 9 months. This guy's saying, like, if you make $55,000 a year now, well, past year I made almost 80,000, but again, most of that's going into this house, so that would have to be the change. Probably is whatever I want to do, we probably have to get into a less expensive living situation, maybe go back live with my parents. I'm sure they'd be thrilled about that, but I suppose if I have a plan to do something like going into flying, that would be acceptable. Why is the autopilot not working here? Or did I turn the autopilot on, but I didn't turn navigation on? That's probably what I did. Alright, so what we're going to do is hit the direct button. We're going to go direct to the next waypoint. I think it was, here's my chart. Kind of overshot our route. Bimbo, let's go direct to Bimbo. So if you turn your autopilot on, I suppose you could, you have your options of what you want to use. Use heading, you can use, obviously, your different things. I wanted to go on navigation, but I think it just put autopilot and just got me up to where I wanted to be, which is one thing too. You can just use it for your altitude. You can use it for, remember it was the Guadalupe, Martinique. Activate. There we go. No, I don't think Is that gonna knock me off? No. Keep me on my flightmaster. There we go. Not a big deal. Let's see. Yeah, so this is, I guess, stuff to think about, and this is, I did a bunch of research before I went into trucking, trying to figure out, like, okay, what's the best route to go in, what's the best place to learn. So this guy's saying, ATP is horrible because you're basically paying double for half the quality training because you're learning from people who just learned themselves and have now gone into being certified flight instructors to build up to 1,500 so they can then bail and get to the airlines, which it's totally understandable. It's like you just want to get those hours and do it, but as someone who wants to get the training, do you want to be going with someone who's just trying to build their own hours and it's not about training? It's like, and he's saying if you make $55K a year now, you can save about 30 grand and complete all your ratings in 2 years if you work hard. If you make now the part about that I blows my mind is you can save about 30. Oh, I think, okay, let me start over there. I thought he was saying if you make $55,000 a year right now, you could save $30,000 and then put that towards training and get your stuff in 2 years anyway, right? I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying you could save $30,000 on your training versus going to something like ATP where all said and done you're probably spending $100,000. Now I think there are some benefits to doing it that way. There are some drawbacks. Complete all your ratings in 2 years if you work hard. Okay, so there's the difference. Now ATP, it's kind of a fast track program and they have a lot of partnerships with the airlines. So again, you can go your own way or you can go through something a little bit structured. Let's see, take lessons every Saturday and Sunday until you get your PPL. Well, again, depends on if you have the time. Like ATP, it really is kind of a full time. You're going to, like, that's what you're doing. And so you kind of need to take a loan and you don't really have a lot of time to work outside of it and make money. So yeah, possibly the best course if you're in a situation where you can't just, dedicate 9 months to something, would have to be do it the little slower option. Every Saturday and Sunday until you get your PPL. Once you get your private license, instrument training can be done at night 90% of the time. Take a lesson every day after work. Again, that's I don't know if that's possible so much me working 12 hours a day, but I suppose if you're really, really committed. Commercial is just PPL on steroids, and you can really practice everything on your own since you already have a PPL. If you look around near you, you can also probably find an instructor with 10,000 hours dual who is instructing for his career, not some 23-year-old who learned to fly in 6 months trying to get to 1,500 as soon as possible. Yeah.
ISLANDWAYS 522, contact Marigot, center 123.7.
Contact Marigot, center 123.7, ISLANDWAYS 522.
Alright, that's right in front of us. What is that's why can't I think what it was? We landed there. That's that short runway at Gerald S. Osborne International. What island was that? Oh, Montserrat. That's Montserrat right there, coming up. Maintaining flight level 80. This is so nice. I mean, the internet is so great for this kind of stuff where you're looking into something and you can ask people, and you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt because some people just, you know, it's personal experiences. Some people just have bad experiences, or it was more them than the program. But yeah, here we got another guy saying, yeah, every experience I've had with ATP instructors is pretty awful. They seem to not give a crap about the student or instructing. Now, he did say he's generalizing. There are probably good ones. Of course, there always are. Or instructing and are just going through the paces. Yeah, it's expensive and not worth the price for the instruction you're getting. Yes, the 120 day 0 to hero thing is enticing. 120 day. Wait, what's that? That's 4 months? Oh, I suppose, yeah, you probably 4 months. After 4 months, you go to become a certified flight instructor. You can't possibly think you could be a decent certified flight instructor and MEI, I'm not sure what that is, when 6 months ago you had never flown a plane. Yeah, that's one thing I was like, really? In just 4 months? I mean, now granted, when I was, you know, doing, like, even, that's the crazy thing, because in semi-truck driving, in the trucking industry, at my company, it used to be you had to have 1 year of experience driving. I'd get my training, I'd go out on the road with a trainer, and then I'd be in my own truck, and I had to be in my own truck for a year. I believe no accidents or something too, probably. And then I could apply to be a trainer and get paid a little bit extra. And I never was really interested in dealing with that hassle, though. And our company was pretty desperate. As I was getting a year, they were like, hey, do you want to be a trainer? Do you want to be a trainer? And especially because the FMSCA or whatever it is, the rules were changing for training with the trucking industry, where they were starting to require no, actually you need to have 2 years experience, which was really hitting a lot of companies hard because, you know, there's not a lot of drivers out there that have, in a lot of these companies, these kind of starter companies, there's not a lot of people that have 2 years experience. And if they do, if there are guys around that have that experience, they typically don't want to be trainers. Now, you have to remember that not everyone who's got the experience wants to also train. But that's so interesting that it's like, yeah, that ATP, I remember looking there, I was like, oh, 4 months, 6 months or whatever, you're going to go get your certified flight instructor, and then that's how you're going to build up your hours. And I'm thinking, it's like, I barely know how to fly. How am I going to teach someone else who's brand new how to fly? I mean, in trucking, now, with my current job, I'm comfortable teaching, slightly comfortable teaching someone else how to do things. Again, you knowing how to do things, being comfortable how to do things, doesn't mean you can teach someone else how to do things and feel comfortable enough doing that. And then also, again, do you want to deal with that responsibility? And again, it's not a requirement. You're not required to be a certified flight instructor, but that's how you're going to be able to, that's how you can quickly build hours. That's how you can quickly, and you can get paid to do your flying as opposed to paying, practicing on your time and all that. Let's see. They're few. Find a local flight school with good planes and instructors. They're few and far between, but they're out there. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like ATP has, they own their own planes. They have really good planes, all that. So there's, again, pros and cons. Also, you can go at your own pace, but that doesn't mean you have to go slow. I know people who have banged out all of their ratings in less than a year and didn't do a fast track program. They were just motivated and had the time to fly. That's the issue for me. Do I have the time to fly? Not really. But if I'm motivated, I will take any free time I have, and that will be when I'll fly, right? If I want to do that. And so the original poster, that's what I was really worried about. I did not want to go to the Full Sail of flight colleges or schools. I remember Full Sail when I was looking at college, like Full Sail University or whatever down in Florida. Again, like all these in Florida. and it was Full Sail. It's like a multimedia kind of school where you learn computer, graphics, websites, video, that kind of stuff. Multimedia. And I was, video game design, that kind of stuff, and I was really interested in that kind of stuff. But my mom really convinced me. It's like, no, you should go to a real college that's got a reputation. So that was pretty, yeah. I like how he said that. I don't want to go to a Full Sail of flights colleges. If I'm going to spend that much money, it needs to be a good fit for me. There is a local school near me that is way cheaper, but they offer no student loans at all. That's a big thing too, though. Financing. ATP has the financing. It's like, I'll have to see what my options are to go to a different school, perhaps. Yeah. Very interesting. Alright, I think this is Montier still, or Montserrat, off on our 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I think the airport's over there. Now, granted, all of this Reddit thread I'm reading right now is from everything 7 years ago. So, have things gotten better with ATP? Have they gotten a little bit more professional? I don't know. Full disclosure, currently in the middle of ATP's fast track program. Yes, ATP does a good job of getting you through your ratings quickly. I have personally found the instructors to be very competent, and it is great interacting with other career-minded fellow students. However, the program is probably not for you unless, so this is good. So here you have someone having a positive experience and saying, yeah, things are not as terrible as these other guys are saying, but again, it's going to be for some people, not going to be for other people, right? Number one, you know exactly how you are paying for it before you start. Like you said, it's a big investment. If you go for the flight instructing route after graduating, tighten your belt and prepare for a couple lean years as you build hours. 2, you are self-motivated. It's a ton of information to absorb in a short amount of time, so know that you can make yourself stay on top of the studying and commit to it. The only disadvantage can be that in going through your ratings quickly, you might miss out on some valuable real-world experiences. Counteract that, be inquisitive, study beyond what is required, and read Reddit. Other than that, I highly encourage you to go take an intro flight, and best of luck. What worries me is that I keep reading about how after you get done, you end up only making $20K a year for 10 years until you finally get lucky and find that good airliner job or what have you. I currently make $55 a year. Going down to $20K after that kind of training scares me. Yeah, that's a big one, and I've seen that. And again, there's that, I think, that shady marketing because they have all these airline. And again, this is 7 years ago, so maybe they've gotten more partnerships in the last 7 years. Like, since I've been looking at it in the last 3 years or 2 years here. Yeah, about 1.5 years. They have partnerships with United and United Aviate, so you're in their program and you're kind of tracked to that you're going to have a job at the regional when you accumulate your hours, supposedly. Is that true is the question. So again, we got one here. My kid went there and loved it. Easy to pay down that much money as the airlines are screaming for pilots right now. Yeah, the loan is scary. It's like $100,000 student loan is scary. Now, if you get a job that can pay that down, pilot is a job that can do that. If you get you're gonna get that return on investment, right? You know, history major like me, and if you have $100,000 in loans, which I didn't have, thankfully, I only had like 10,000 in student loans. History major, you're probably never gonna, you know, taking out $100,000 or more in student loans or anything close to that is insane, because you're never gonna make that money. You're always gonna be struggling, because, you know, most history kind of jobs, you know, there are jobs you can get, obviously, but most jobs, I mean, just most jobs across the board, you're making, you know, college educated. This is the crazy thing, is like a lot of college educated jobs early on, especially, you're not going to be making more than $50,000 a year. Like, I'm making way more at the job I'm working right now. I work a ton. I work a lot of overtime, and I bust my body doing it. I make more money doing this than if I had some history job. You know, that goes with my major, right? You know, some job where I have to get dressed up and, you know, tough interview process. You know, hope to, you know, fingers crossed I get this job, and then I get paid $40,000 a year. Like, yay! I wouldn't be, you know, I don't know, but it's crazy. Yeah, OP again, the original poster. This info has helped me greatly. Yeah, this is, I mean, again, this is great. Like, getting a lot of different perspectives, then you can kind of bounce that around. The more you know what's going on. I think I may need to save a big chunk of money before going into the school. Yeah, the more money you have on hand that you can just pay instead of having to take out a loan with, you know, I know at one point, like when I was looking last year, I think they were saying like, oh, 1% interest. Well, yeah, sign me up, right? Now I'm looking and it's like, they're like, oh, well, you can get a loan for like 8%. It's like, yeah, no, no, thank you. I'm not getting $100,000. I mean, I already got a mortgage, right? This guy, my home is paid for and bills are low. Well, there you go. You're already ahead, you know, because your home is paid for. The fact that your home is paid for, you're not paying a big chunk mortgage. You can definitely save up some money. My wife works, which is the only way I could really go to this school. Yep. The only way I would have for paying off the debt, though, would be through a pilot career after finishing school. Well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. ATP, you know, I don't know why no one kind of just said, well, duh. The point of ATP, you know, you don't go to ATP and spend $100,000 to get your commercial license and get all these ratings if you're not going into, if you're not cracked on to becoming an airline pilot. If you're just going to ATP as, oh, I want to learn to fly. Well, you better dang well get into making money flying, right? And that's the point of ATP. That's why they want to get you through it in 7-9 months, 2 years. 2 years you're going to be at the regionals, and then once you build up enough hours, or there's an opening for first officer with the main line, then you go, right? That's the point of something like ATP. You know, if you just want to get your private thing, if you just want to do it because you're interested in flying, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense to drop $100,000 and do all this, you know, this compact, you know, high intensity work. It's like, just take your time, take lessons on the weekends and just learn. And I don't know, I mean, yeah, it's like I have to look into it. Yeah, they have this airlinepilot.life, which is actually through ATP. And it's really interesting, a forum, because, again, this is a few years ago. Let's see. So this thread is the reality of getting hired after ATP flight school. Again, this is stuff you have to look into, because they'll sell you all this stuff like, oh yeah, boom, you're going to get in this. It's like, well, yeah, if you're going to go from point A, point, you know, point A is you're starting at 0 experience, and in 2 years you're going to be at a regional airline making $100 an hour. Depends on which regional you pick, but you're making $100 an hour as a first officer, and you're guaranteed 75 hours pay. Well, yeah, it makes this is totally a viable thing to do. It makes financial sense, right? You're making $7,500 a month. Now, yeah, you're still going to be tight if you're only making $7,500 a month and you're not getting more than 75 hours or getting that guaranteed pay. And you have a major student loan of $100,000 or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be tight for a while, but you're going to be working up towards captain and other stuff. That makes sense if you get on that track, right? If you actually can do that. That's where the risk comes in. Let's see. Look at this guy. I think I probably read this before. My name is Will. I'm 30 years old. I have a 4-year degree. I've always dreamt of being a pilot, and I'm finally following through on that dream. I took my intro flight lesson with ATP last weekend, and I'm hooked. Yeah, that's the thing. I know I'd be hooked. I'm determined to succeed as a pilot, but of course I do have certain hesitations, mainly being able to live with flight school debt as a flight instructor at ATP, the likelihood of being hired by a regional airline, and the ability to pay off the cost of flight school as I make my way up to the majors/regional captain. I've heard and read that there is a pilot shortage. My cousin, and that's the thing, there's a pilot shortage, yet somehow you're gonna get screwed. It seems like that's how it always is. It's the same thing in the trucking industry. It's like there's a truck driver shortage. Like, yes, there is a driver shortage, but it's mainly there's a shortage at the crap level. There's not a shortage with the there's a shortage of experience, not a shortage of drivers. There's a lot of drivers out there. There's just a lot of dumb, bad drivers that are not getting paid much. In the trucking industry, and it's kind of similar to the pilot situation, really. Let's see. My cousin is a first officer with Southwest, and he has assured me that I'd be okay and get a job. He even seems to think I could get a job right out of flight school and not be an instructor. I have my doubts. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to be an instructor. You can get a job, but yeah, I have my doubts, right? He says having an in the industry will help. Well, there you go. Yeah, you have an in. I'm completely willing to be an instructor for a couple of years in order to build up the 1,500 hours. However, my main question is there a chance that I would not be hired by a regional airline by 2 years or when I have 1,500 hours? I'm completely willing to work my way up from the bottom, but I'm just concerned that I'd be stuck as an instructor for 5 years with $70,000+ in debt. Are ATP flight school graduates respected in the airline world? I know my questions are dependent on a lot of different factors and not easily answered, but any insight would be appreciated. First of all, now what's really cool is like a lot of these people, I mean, this is on the ATP forums, right? Their forums, so again, grain of salt, right? But again, these are people who have experience with it. First of all, your concerns are completely normal. Just take a look at this forum and see that you are not alone. The industry today is at an all-time high. And that's the thing, too. I wonder, like, how is it different right now? Because when I was looking... Now, granted, when I was looking right in the middle of the COVID pandemic, right? I was looking at this like a year and a half ago was the last time I really looked into this. This stuff is from 2016. So, again, what's changed? What's changed in the industry? What's changed with ATP? What's changed? All this stuff. There is much more demand for flights than there are airplanes and pilots to fly them. Over the past few years, the regionals have been constantly one-upping each other, trying to get as many pilots in the door. When I started flying 2 years ago, the standard pay at most of the regional carriers was around $22 an hour. It's crazy because looking at the partners for ATP, like, I think, which one was I looking at? Oh, I can't remember. I think even Air Wisconsin, which would be the regional right here where I live, it was like $100 an hour for a first officer. So, okay, $22 an hour, that's a big difference. Today, so it was $22 an hour. Today it's around $35 to $40 an hour. That is quite a big change in 2 years. And the word is this will continue until 2022. Oh, so I'm going to miss out on this? Of course, nothing in life is guaranteed, but the odds are in your favor. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like they make it sound like the way ATP makes it sounds like they kind of like, you know, I want to like quote unquote hold your hand almost, like it's like, okay, if you come through our program, we're gonna set you up with this, and it's like, well, okay, what is it really? I mean, I still have to like send out resumes and I still have to do all this. You're just saying it's like, yeah, you're gonna have a leg up, but the way they make it makes it sound like you're on a track, right? It's like, okay, you know, like when I went to my truck training at Millis Transfer, I was guaranteed a job at the end of that training. I was like, okay, you're going to do this, and then you're going to go in the truck with your trainer, and then you're going to be on the road on your own. And boom, 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 there you go. As opposed to what ATP is you're going to train, and then you're going to become a certified flight instructor, and then you'll have the option to apply to these jobs, and you'll have like first dibs or whatever like that. It's not as guaranteed, right? Interesting. All right, we just flew over Nevis. Now we're coming up on St. Kitts. Right, flying right over Bastiera again. What airport is that? Robert L. Bradshaw. Which will be our last stop here in the Caribbean before we head up to Miami. And you may be wondering, why am I not just doing the island hopping to each little island here and landing at these airports and knocking out these countries? Well, I'm trying to do real commercial flights. And, you know, kind of the way it worked out is how it worked out. And possibly there would have been a better way that I could have done these flights. But then all the flights would have been like 5 minutes long. But I suppose it could have just been one stream where we just island hop. But, well, live and learn. I suppose next time I do a world tour, maybe I'll just, you know, I don't know. But it's funny. Alright, so someone... Okay, so the original poster here, now this is about a year later, some other people are asking, like, hey, how's it going? I'm interested in this, and, like, how's your experience been? Because, of course, you kind of want to ask the person, you know, you want to see what that original poster, like, okay, what did they end up doing? And you feel like, I always feel like the person I want to hear from is that original person that had a question. And it's like, okay, did you go into it? And if you have gone into it, like, what's the experience like? Because they're probably going to be not going to bullcrap you. As opposed to people you don't know, you know, you don't know their whole journey. Whereas you know that the original poster, you kind of know their journey because it's like, well, you saw them asking the question and at the same point you're at now. Let's see, okay, so Sorry I'm just now seeing this. I'm doing well. Just about to head to flight instructor school in Atlanta. Overall, the training has gotten me the certificate as promised. Well, that's what matters, I suppose. Was it in 6 months? No. Shortly after I finalized my loan with enough funds for 6 months, ATP changed the course time to 9 months. Oh, okay, so this is
ISLANDWAYS 522, contact San Juan Oceanic Center.
a little bit longer course now than it was at
Contact San Juan
time.
Oceanic Center 128.65.
So that was irritating to say the least. I've been struggling to make ends meet. In addition, scheduling has been a real challenge. I'm sure it depends on your instructor, but it's very difficult to plan for anything outside of school in advance. My schedule is made day to day with little consideration for my life outside of school. That said, if I ask for a day off, I usually get it. Just don't try to plan for anything more than 2 days away. Again, I'm sure that depends on your instructor. Also, some instructors work on weekends, some don't. Regarding your question about if I'm satisfied with the way my future is looking, yes, I do know that times are going to be tough financially for a while, but ATP offers the tuition assistance, which should help a lot. I'm not going that route though. I plan to instruct at a different school, making $30 an hour for a few months, then work for a charter at around 500 hours, hopefully flying a jet to build that jet time early. The goal is to get to the majors ASAP, and I'll have 1,000 more hours of jet time than ATP students who stayed with ATP for 1,500 hours. So there's, he's got a plan. He's looking at doing different things. That's pretty cool. If that makes sense. In other words, I would advance from the regionals quicker, ideally, but at any rate be prepared to be making very little financially. But you're flying, so that kind of makes up for it, right? Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that's kind of it. It's like, okay, well, he's making $30 an hour for a few months. It's like, okay, how much is, how much are you making? Because $30 an hour doesn't mean anything. It's like, it's a cool number. It's like, I make $27 an hour. But then I make $40 an hour sometimes when I'm working overtime. The question is, like, okay, how often am I getting that $40 an hour? How often, and how many hours am I working? How much am I actually taking home, right? How much am I actually making? That's sometimes with this is like, well, yeah, it's $30 an hour, and it's like, well, yeah, why are you struggling financially now? $30 an hour is not bad. Now, if you're working only 40 hours a week at $30 an hour and you don't get overtime, yeah, it's not great. It's not a ton, but again, depends on your expenses. Again, how much are you paying in your loan how much are you on the hook for your loan every month? Other bills. And then how much are you actually making? Because $30 an hour means nothing because, again, you look at the pay scale for pilots, right? What do they get paid? They get paid like $100+ an hour. That's cool. But if you only get 10 hours of flying in a month, well, you're screwed, right? Now, most airlines, they have that minimum that you get paid anyway, but, depending on certain factors. But, hourly wage is kind of a weird indicator once you get out of that the 9 to 5 40 hour a week or whatever. If you're looking at factory jobs or again your hourly wage jobs, and you're comparing two jobs where it's like, okay, this job I work 40 hours a week, I get paid $30 an hour. This job I work 40 hours a week, I get paid 15. Well, of course the 30 is going to be better. But if the 30-hour job, the $30 an hour job you only get to work 20 hours a week, well, it's the same as the 15. Now, again, you still might take that 20-hour job because you only have to work 20 hours to make the same as, there's still that, but how much work is available? Because that's what I'm kind of always have the question about. Yes, I have no doubt that I'll get a job. ATP is well respected. From what I hear, ATP instructors interview very well, and having all your CFI certificates look very good. As far as the pilot shortage goes, we can only hope things stay the way they are for a while. I have noticed a huge increase in students joining ATP, but I think a lot of people are catching on and joining the bandwagon. Can't think of much else. I will say for me, there's definitely been highs and lows during my training. Not all fun. It's definitely not fun sometimes. But you just got to stick with it and remember why you started. That feeling when you first flew an airplane. I haven't had a chance because I'm poor, but I'd recommend renting a plane now and then during your training just to take a joyride. Training can get tough and wear you down, so just going up for the fun of it would be really nice. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, So expensive. Lastly, I don't have a wife and kids. There's a big one. There's a big one, right? I do have a girlfriend who lives a couple of hours away. It's not going to be just tough for you, it's going to be tough for them too. Like I said, you're not going to have much of a life outside of school, no money coming in, and planning is very difficult. Make sure that you're aware of all that and they're on board. Give them the props they deserve for supporting you and putting up with it. Oh, one more thing you should know, the tuition assistance offered by ATP in certain regionals comes out of the signing bonus you get when you join the airline. So you will get it either way, whether you choose to sign a contract with the airlines at 500 hours and continue instructing with ATP or not. There are pros and cons to both. Pros for taking the assistance include greatly reducing your monthly loan payment while you're instructing, and the money is tax-free. The cons are you have to stay with ATP for 1,500 hours and you're locked into an airline a year before you start working for that airline. So if you don't choose to take the tuition assistance, you will still get that money and a signing bonus with whatever airline you do go with. But you will pay income tax on that money. That's interesting. See, that's always the one that gets me. I'm always a little like, ugh, with the the amount of grind that you have to put in. That it's like it really is something. Going into being a commercial, into being a pilot it's like any career change, right? But it's like it makes so much more sense to do it when you are young and a student and you're not tied down with things, right? Do college, do it through college. I don't know, but it's crazy. Yeah, this is actually a really interesting thread to look at. Like another guy, a pilot mentor over at ATP, kind of interjected and said, like, yeah, if you start flying charters at 500 hours, you're going to get that more jet time, but the major carriers, they're looking at your captain jet time. They don't really care about first officer jet time because a lot of corporate, the first officers really aren't flying a lot. Also, corporate pilots don't fly as much in a month as a flight instructor will, so it's going to take you longer to build those hours anyway. Again, I don't know. I'm not talking from experience. That's that guy, so. Let's see. Another person, to clarify the point here, 1,500 hours technically does qualify an applicant to apply at a does that qualify for someone to apply at a mainline carrier? Again, another pilot mentor again saying, well, let's try to clear this up. First, you will not graduate from ATP with 1,500 hours. You'll complete the program with about 230 hours. So think about that. Once you complete the program, you have to do another 1,200 hours. 1,500 is a lot of hours, and those hours need to be built over time, typically by flight instructing, and it usually takes about 2 years. Now, the reason for the 1,500 hours is in order to fly for any Part 121 carrier in the U.S., you need to earn your ATP airline transport pilot license, which requires a minimum of 1,500 hours. If you get hired at a regional, they will then complete the ATP CTP as part of your new hire training, while all majors require you to already have your ATP. Now, technically, you could take the ATP CTP on your own and apply to a major, but you will not get hired. Majors are the big leagues and they want pilots with experience. In simple terms, why would they hire a brand new flight instructor with 1,500 hours when they can hire a regional jet captain with 6,000? The answer is they wouldn't. Yeah, I think that's a big thing and I suppose, again, this is a great, great resource is actually talking to people who have actually gone through the program, because, of course, every program that's out there that wants to take your money, they're going to make it sound like, oh, da-da-da, and you get this picture of how it's going to work. It's like, well, no, this is actually what you have to do, and this is actually the hours you need. This is how it's actually going to long it's going to take, and this is the reality of it. It's like, yeah, you're going to have some preference with the partners or whatever, but still going to need to build those hours. So I suppose it's something I just need to look into. But that's the thing, it's like I feel the age coming on where it's like I don't, you know, I'm at a point where, you know, I have a baby boy, I have a wife, I have a house. Now again, some of that stuff would have to change, like the house, you know, to be able to swing something like going into a career change like that. And it's kind of, you know, you kind of start feeling that regret. It's like, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. If I do it, you know, am I going to be able to swing that? The regret is, like, I wish I had done this when I was young. Wish I had the interest in it at that point. Heck, even when I first came back from China a few years ago, if I had, instead of going into trucking, if I had gone into, you know, pilot school, because at that point it's like, okay, you know, crash at my parents, go through the school, you know, don't make a lot, but it's like I don't need to make a lot. But I suppose the thing is, like, you just kind of, you gotta think, it's like, okay, what do you want to do? What do I want to do, right? And then you gotta make the plan, and it takes a lot of work sometimes. You can't, not everything's just easy. Alright, up in front of us we got St. Martin. I think it's St. Martin Island, but it's split between St. Martin and St. Martin, or Saint Martin, however it's said in French. But yeah, once we get here, we're coming up. I'm kind of talking all over. Coming up on Princess Juliana Airport there, we're going to turn left, head out to the Virgin Islands, I think. Head out towards, yep. I would assume we're going to see Puerto Rico. Well, we should see Puerto Rico in the distance once we make that turn. Will we have a nice landing today? Well, had a decent landing. What were my last few flights here? Let me just double check. I can't remember. Okay, so the last landing was in the ATR. That was a little firm. Negative 368. That wasn't that great. But the last one I did in, yeah, the one I did in this plane, the Cessna, flying for InterCaribbean right here, InterCaribbean. Negative 195. Still a little firm, but a lot better than the one we did Win Air into Montserrat, where we just basically crashed the plane into the end of the runway. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. A little firm. Yes, my landings have been a little firm. Those are decent landing rates for the, you know, the bigger planes. For a Cessna, yeah, it's a little firm. But like I said, a lot better. I did like 800 feet per minute on the landing on Montserrat. It was like I didn't realize how short the runway was, and then the way the runway on both sides is like, it's just a cliff. It just goes off, and so you're coming in, so you can kind of get lost where if you're just visually looking at it, you start dipping too low and suddenly you're under the runway. If you get too low, you're off your glide slope. Yeah, so I don't know. I would love to do it, but at the same time, it's so overwhelming. Like, is that possible to go into something like that? But that's almost the case with anything. Now, I think the pilot thing is just such a financial commitment, but a lot of things are, you know, if doing a career change. I mean, the one career change that I've done, you know, so I went to college for 4 years, didn't really go into anything using my college degree, went over to China and taught. That was, I guess that's the first career, right? And I think I spent, you know, maybe $1,000 on that, like, training and thing to do that. And then when I came over here about 10 years later, came back home, went into truck driving, and the training for that I think was $500 to get a seat, and then, you know, and then I think I paid a little bit over the next couple of years working for the company to pay for the schooling, but it was like, you know, $10 a week or something. It wasn't much. You know, and it's been a, you know, really good return, you know, for that. I mean, but yeah, I would love to fly, but I think I'm getting to that point where it's like, you know, I'm 35 years old, so I've seen a lot of people saying it's like, you know, again, you can do it, but, you know, you start hitting 40, you know, your return on investment is going to be a lot less. You know, and again, you have to think, it's like, how long are you spend at a regional? Now, I've read some guys where it's like they've gotten it when they're in their 50s and they just spend their time at the regionals, and they didn't care because they wanted to fly and get paid flying, right? You know, that for that to be their job, you know, as opposed to having to pay on the weekends to fly, right? In which case, you now need to have a job that makes you the money that you can then have that extra thing to fly. I mean, I prefer to do the things I like to do. I prefer to be paid to do it, not have to pay to do it. Like, I remember that was a big thing. We'd always go on road trips, and that was kind of one thing. I was like, well, I like driving. I like driving across the country and, you know, doing all that. Like, wouldn't it be cool to be paid to do that? Oh, I'll go into trucking. Now, trucking's a little different. You know, you're not able to stop off at all the places. But depending on the company, depending on the time, I know one guy he went to, he's making quite a bit of money now at a company he went to, and, you know, they do a lot. I mean, him and his wife are out on the road, and they stop at all kinds of cool food joints and the locations, because he's getting paid enough that he's not having to run crazy hard all the time. He has, you know, here's a hard run, but then he has time where he can just go drive somewhere, take off a few days, like, still basically getting paid, you know, to drive. I don't know. I guess the other fear, and I think I've seen this on some of the posts over there, talking about flight training, especially like someone like ATP, is the, you know, possibility that you fail your check rides and you don't have a feel for it. So now you've gotten this big loan, you put in all this time, but then you don't actually make it to where you can make your money back. It's like, I guess, again, that's with everything. College, you know, you go to college, you go to whatever, and you fizzle out, but you spent the money, but you don't actually ever go into something where you make that money back. It is kind of overwhelming. All right, so we're expecting Simbo RNAV approach, runway 25, report when ready for descent. So let's go procedures. We're gonna select, I believe, approach. This is the one I want to be in. RNAV 25. What's Simbo? Can I go back out? I can never remember how to get back out of this. Oh, okay, Simbo. There we go. Oh, okay. I think that's what we want. Simbo. Minimums. 2 approaches available. Alright, here's the chart for that. So there's Simbo. We're gonna hit LARP, and then we're gonna go to Simbo. And we're gonna go in to Sildi. We've got a hold, possible hold if we need. Then it's a Levom for this approach. Let's see. What did I want to look at? I want to look at the minimums. So minimums, I feel like these are really high, aren't they? I mean, we'd be, what, a Category A plane, probably? Again, that's something I haven't nailed down yet, but Okay, let's put that. Let's see if we can put the minimum in for that. RA. Oh, Barrow. Okay, I see. Sure. 750. We'll put this all in. Why not? 750. There's a sequence, and we're going to load, I believe. Okay.
ISLANDWAYS 522. Expect on
You see all those clouds? Those are probably over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, that whole area.
Expect INAV approach. Runway 25. Report when ready for descent. ISLANDWAYS 522.
Alright, so we got all of our we're kind of getting a feel for how this works. Okay. Yeah, we're ready for descent. Kind of double check the chart here. So minimum altitude at Lettsome is 2,000 feet, so that's the minimum actually. Final approach course is going to be 254 degrees. Airport elevation 16 feet. Runway is 8 feet. Missed approach, we're going to climb left, turn direct back to Simbo, max 185 knots. That's not a problem for us. Then to Sildi to rejoin the hold at Sildi at or above 3,000 feet. Transition altitude is 3,200 feet. I didn't really change anything there. Got about 3.3 degree descent. Sildi, we want to be at 2,500 feet, and then Lettsome 2,000 is our minimum. Quite a few things on this chart that I'm still learning my charts too, like what everything means. But I kind of got the go-around stuff settled a little bit better. All right, so we're headed to Juice, as you can see on the map. We're ready for descent. Let's let the ATC know.
ISLANDWAYS 522. Maintain flight level 80.
Maintain flight level 80. ISLANDWAYS 522.
Will we have a nice landing today? I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll be a little bit nicer since I got that. You know, I think I've adjusted the rudders a little bit better. At least once we hit the runway, we're not going to be flopping all over the place. Hopefully. We'll see. I don't fly these small planes enough, and to be honest, I haven't been really landing the big planes very well lately either. A long time. I got really good back in X-Plane. Like, I got to the point where almost every landing was, you know, negative 180, 190, you know, firm, but, you know, just kind of right in the middle there, where it's not too firm, but it's also not too like you're just floating. And then I really haven't been able to get to that like consistent here in Flight Simulator. I think part of it's I'm flying different planes all the time. I don't just fly the 737 or just the A320 lately. But even when I was just flying the A320, it was kind of hit or miss. I wonder how much of that is my distraction with you guys. You guys are distracting me. No, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Somehow got it all figured out in X-Plane, and still trying to figure it out over here.
0113, radar contact. Expect my boss.
Silver Wings. Got a Silver Wings. I don't know who that is. It's always cool hearing the different call signs on safeties. Silver Wings. Let's see who Silver Wings is. That is
Delta Uniform X-ray. Tango Romeo Oscar Charlie Oscar 3. Arrival. ILS. Approach. Runway 10. Report when ready for descent. 0113. Silver Wings 0113.
Silver Wings is like a parachute team. Silver Wings call sign.
Silver Wings 0113.
There's got to be a site where you can search all the call signs.
13,000.
Silver Airways.
1019er.
Silver Airways. It is a regional airline. I've never heard of it. Cool. What kind of planes do they fly? Saab 340B. Okay, they got the ATR 42-600, ATR 72-600, ATR 72-500. Oh, so I actually don't have anything other than the Saab anymore. Just ATRs. Okay. Cool. Got a little pink flamingo on there. Livery. Yeah, I just got a... Where was I looking? If it was... I don't know if it was on Google or where I was looking, where they had a whole article about... where I was... I don't know where I was, but... whole article about how, like, flightsim.to is having a few issues with their creators because they changed the terms of service. And so, I don't know. When I read the change between the terms of service, it doesn't sound like what all the creators are saying it is. Creators are all making it sound like they have no control over their mods anymore. And I think the only thing they really don't have control over is if they can delete the mod off of the platform. But you can always hide it so people can't download it anyway or something. I don't know. I think a few creators are upset because they want to do this premium model thing that will, you know, allow people to subscribe so they don't have to have ads or countdowns, and then that money will go towards creators and stuff. I don't know, it's a whole thing. Drama over on flightsim.to. I was looking for the Vancouver airport, that Vancouver project, and I believe that's hidden because that creator's like, yeah, I'm not going to keep it over here on this platform until they resolve the issues. I'm like, because flightsim.to has become like the repository for flight simulator mods. I don't know any other ones that are as good and as good, you know, the layout and functionality. But I'm going to have to look around and see what the other ones are, because people are going to be putting their stuff on different places now again. I'm sure there are people that don't put stuff on flightsim.to at all, and I'm missing out on pretty cool mods, but... let's see, I wanted to see, what was that, Silver... Oh, there it is. Cool. Oh, they even got a... Someone's even made some fictional, obviously, but A320 Neo. Free for it, but there's an ATR 72. I have doubts that will work with the community version, though. Pretty cool livery. Nice pink livery with a flamingo on it. Well, that's who we're hearing on the radio is Silver Wings. That's Silver Airways.
Silver Wings 0129er. Expect Charlie Hotel Alpha Kilo Alpha 4. Arrival Victor Alpha Romeo November Alpha ILS. Approach runway 08. Expect Chalker 4. Arrival Victor Alpha Romeo November Alpha ILS. Approach runway 08. Silver Wings 0129er. Silver Wings 0129er. Cleared Chalker 4. Arrival QNH 1019er. Cleared Chalker 4. Arrival Silver Wings 0129er. Silver Wings 0113. Maintained 11,000. Cleared Modux Troco 3. Arrival.
Maintain 11,000. Cleared Modux Troco 3. Arrival. Silver Wings 0113.
I'm wondering if this is the kind of flight where I should be kind of using a little bit of time acceleration or not. I don't know how it would affect. But we'll stick it out about 17 more minutes, and then the next flight. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link for the next stream for the next flight is pinned. I think I'm only gonna do. We'll see if I do that flight, but that will be the next one. Kind of see what's going on downstairs going on. Otherwise, if I don't do that flight today, this morning, it will be possibly tomorrow or on Thursday. We'll do 3 flights. It's all on Cape Air, so won't even have to swap out planes or liveries, and we'll just have like kind of a long stream, I think, on YouTube, just one Cape Air. I don't know what we'd call it. Like, it's not really Virgin Islands. We're gonna be flying. First, we're gonna fly from the the British Virgin Islands over to Puerto Rico, and then Puerto Rico out to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and then out to Anguilla, I think.
Red Lake 264, climb and maintain flight
Red
level
Lake.
220.
Red Lake.
Climb and maintain flight level 220, Red Lake 264.
Pretty cool hearing all these call signs I've never heard before. Red Lake. Red Lake. Red Lake is Red Wing Aeroplane Company. That they fly. Can't be them. Bay City, Wisconsin. I mean, it could be, I guess. Got citations. They're like a charter. Supposedly it's a charter out of Bay City, Wisconsin. Never even heard of it. They're all the way down here. But I suppose you get a charter out to Puerto Rico. I think that might be seeing a little bit of the U.S. Virgin Islands right there. St. Croix Island, Pacific. Coming up on LARP.
Sulfur Wings 0113, descend and maintain 2,200.
Descend and maintain 2,200. Silver Wing 0113.
Never talk. Flight preview for today. possibly going to be flying the next one here. I've got the link for that next stream on YouTube. We'll be flying over to Puerto Rico from here. The British Virgin Islands will be on Cape Air in the Cessna 208. That is possibly going to be the next one here in about half an hour, I would guess. And if I don't do that flight this morning, this afternoon I'm going to be doing viewer requested flights. I believe the one that I'm planning on doing, not gonna be a long one, I'm planning on doing a flight from, again, I wish I had it written down who requested it. But this is the one I'm planning on doing right now, but I might change it. I might change it, do something else. But it'll be a viewer requested flight. I got a bunch of requested flights. It's not going to be the one, Mate, who's been in here recently, I think more in the afternoon, he requested one Sydney up to Incheon, to Seoul, the 787 Qantas. I mean, that's a 10-hour flight. I don't think we're going to be doing that this afternoon. I haven't gotten everything set up for that one yet. And then he wants to do Heathrow to LROP. I don't know what LROP is, but in Ryanair. So that'd be a good one to do. A lot of these are flying over Europe, which is why I'm planning on doing. Find it. Why I can't find it now? Where'd you go? Well, where I got this from, because I can't find it on my list. I mean, I have it prepared, but I can't find it. Really weird. Someone must have just said it in the chat. I don't have it on my Discord. I believe it's Kochi. Why don't I just pull up my flight request page here? It's Cochin International Airport in Kochi, India, down to the Maldives. So Victor Oscar Charlie India, Victor Romeo Mike, and that'd be in the A320, the fly-by-wire Maldivian Airlines. Well, that'll be this afternoon, possibly. Definitely going to be flying a viewer requested flight this afternoon. That's the one I'm planning on right now because I kind of want to do something not Europe, because we just did that one from Marrakesh up to England, but maybe I'll do Saarbrücken out to Greece or something. We'll see. Got a few options. Be nice to get back into the airliners though.
ISLANDWAYS 522, descend and maintain 2,900, UNH 1019er.
Descend and maintain 2,900, ISLANDWAYS 522.
Red Lake 264. Climb and maintain. Flight level 320. Climb and maintain. Flight level 320. Red Lake 264. San Juan Oceanic Center, Red Lake 264, inbound jet. At flight level 310, climbing, flight level 330. Flex jet 536, radar contact, expect Kilo Alpha Tango Oscar Kilo, Bravo Echo Alpha November Oscar 3, arrival, Barn ILS, approach, runway, 08, report was ready for descent. Red Lake 264, radar contact, continue climb, flight level 330. Continue climb, flight level 330, Red Lake 264. ISLANDWAYS 522, descend and maintain 2000.
Descend and maintain 2000. ISLANDWAYS 522.
ISLANDWAYS 522, turn left to heading 257.
Turn left to heading 257. ISLANDWAYS 522.
ISLANDWAYS 522, cleared RNAV, approach at 2000, runway 25, report established final track.
Cleared INAV, approach at 2000, runway 25, report established final track, ISLANDWAYS 522.
San Juan Oceanic Center, Group Kilo X-ray at 1,300, climbing, flight level 130. Kilo X-ray, radar contact, proceed direct jets, continue climb, flight level 130. Proceed direct Juliet Echo Tango Sierra Sierra, continue climb, flight level 130, Group Kilo X-ray.
vacated, contact ground 121.9, ISLANDWAYS 522. Island ground, ISLANDWAYS 522. Runway vacated with Alpha.
ISLANDWAYS 522, taxi to parking 1 via Alpha, Bravo 07 Charlie, hold short of runway 0725.
Taxi to parking 1 via Alpha, Bravo 07 Charlie, hold short of runway 0725, ISLANDWAYS 522.
ISLANDWAYS 522, contact Beef Island Tower 118.4.
Contact Beef Island Tower 118.4, ISLANDWAYS 522. Beef Island Tower, ISLANDWAYS 522, request cross runway 0725.
ISLANDWAYS 522, cross runway 0725, when vacated contact ground 121.9.
Cross runway 0725, when vacated contact ground 121.9, ISLANDWAYS 522. Beef Island ground, ISLANDWAYS 522, runway vacated with Charlie.
ISLANDWAYS 522, continue taxi via Charlie.
Continue taxi via Charlie, ISLANDWAYS 522.
1909, parking 112. Request pushback and start up. St. Thomas Ground, Silver Wings 0129er, Gate 8. Request pushback and start up.